Hi, everybody. I'm Alyce-Kay Ruckelshaus from Threshold of Hineni, and today I want to talk about the Eternal God prayer in the Chaplet of Divine Mercy. Now, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I do have my reasons for this. The reason that I want to talk about this prayer first is because this is actually the prayer that attracted me originally to the Chaplet of Divine Mercy. It was soon after my husband was killed in a car accident, and when I heard this prayer, it was just incredibly comforting and also helped me in trusting God with the whole situation. And I think you'll see some of that as we talk about this. Anyway, so this is the prayer that when you're looking at the rosary, if you're using a rosary, and you don't need to, you can use your fingers instead if you want. But if you're using a rosary, it's the rose or the large bead. It's called an Our Father bead because they used to do the Our Father on this bead during the rosary, but they don't anymore. But they still call it the Our Father bead. Anyway, so it's right after the medal. Okay, and it's on this part that hangs down. I've not been able to find a technical term for this part that hangs down, so I'm just calling it the part that hangs down. Anyway, so on this bead, we say this prayer, and it goes like this: Eternal God, in whom mercy is endless, and the treasury of compassion inexhaustible, look kindly upon us and increase your mercy in us, so that in difficult moments we might not despair nor become despondent, but with great confidence submit ourselves to your holy will, which is love and mercy itself. And then we say, Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. And sometimes that's hard to say. Sometimes we need that reminder that that's what we need to say to God is, Jesus, I trust in you, even though it feels like my world is falling apart. I'm actually recording this on the day of the American election in 2020, and it's kind of a scary time, I think, for either side, because we both kind of think that the world's going to end if the other person gets elected, and so this is one of those times when I have to say, Lord, I trust you. And I'm saying that before I know the results of the election. I trust you. During the time after my husband died, it was so hard for me to understand. I still don't know, why. I may never get the answer to that until, I know what happened technically, but I don't know why God allowed it. I probably won't get that answer until I'm in heaven, but I have to be able to say, Jesus, I trust in you. And this prayer helps me with that a lot. I hope that it will also help you. So let's just talk through this. First of all, it starts out by saying, Eternal God. Okay, we know in our heads that God is eternal, but what does that mean, and what does that have to do with being able to trust him? He has existed since before the beginning. Okay, he has always existed and he always will exist. He is the one constant in the universe. All right, so that's something that should give us a lot of confidence to trust in him. He's in control, he's sovereign, and he loves us. And the fact that he's eternal, that he's never going to go away, he doesn't change. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Okay, so God never changes. He's always the same. And so I can rely on him. I can trust in him. It goes on to say, Eternal God, in whom mercy is endless. Okay, his mercy he didn't run out of mercy when Bill was killed in his accident. He didn't run out of mercy when something horrible happened in your life. And he's not going to run out of mercy if the elections don't go the way that I want. He is endlessly merciful, and regardless of our sins, he's also there to forgive us. He didn't kill Bill out of punishment for Bill or for me. I didn't kill Bill at all, but he didn't let Bill die out of punishment for me, for something I did or for something Bill did. He is endlessly merciful, and he forgives us our sins. And I know that for a lot of us, that's something that we really struggle with. I have most of my life struggled with actually believing that God has forgiven my sins. I go around with this sense of guilt all the time. And this prayer has helped with that quite a bit. Not just this part of the prayer, but the entire Chaplet of Divine Mercy, because it's so focused on God's mercy and his love for us and his forgiveness. Okay, so Eternal God, in whom mercy is endless and the treasury of compassion inexhaustible. his compassion is inexhaustible. He doesn't run out of compassion for us. You know, it's like so many of us are going through hard things. It seems like he would be, if he was human, he'd be going, oh, okay, I've had enough. But he doesn't. He is God. He's eternal, and his treasury of compassion is inexhaustible. We can't use it up. We can't exhaust him. We can't exhaust his mercy. But beyond that, I like the fact that it says his treasury of compassion. This is like where you go to get the jewels and the things that are worth the most. And his compassion is a treasure. It is worth so much to us, as is his mercy. So eternal God, in whom mercy is endless and the treasury of compassion inexhaustible, look kindly upon us and increase your mercy in us. You know, some of the meaning of this prayer didn't really come to me until months or even a year after I started praying it. And this is one of those, because it says, increase your mercy in us. And I guess when I first was hearing this and praying it, I was thinking of it as increase your mercy toward me. Okay. And I think it is that to a certain degree. It's, God, please be merciful to me. And I think at that point, I also felt like I have had so much to deal with. Please be merciful and don't give me more to deal with. And, but it's even more than that. It's increase your mercy in me. Increase your mercy towards other people through me. Increase my sense of your mercy for me and for other people. Help me to want to show your mercy to others. Help me to want to ask you to show your mercy towards others. You know, we pray 50 times, for the sake of your sorrowful passion, have mercy on us and on the whole world. And so that's what this is all about. It's about God putting his mercy in us so that he can give it out to the rest of the world, maybe through us showing mercy, but I think even more so for us praying for mercy, asking for his mercy that he wants so much to show to our world. And he uses us in praying for that and asking him for that. Okay, so eternal God, in whom mercy is endless and the treasury of compassion inexhaustible, look kindly upon us and increase your mercy in us, so that in difficult moments, okay, sometimes we have difficult years or difficult months, weeks, days, you know, but even in difficult moments, even when we're going through something that's very small and very quick, God can increase his mercy in us, so that those times, those little times don't add up and become overwhelming. And when we're going through something really, really big, his mercy increased in us and being filtered through us. I don't want to say filtered, that's not the right word, but going through us, flowing through us into the world, helps us in difficult moments to not become despondent or despairing. Okay, so it says, increase your mercy in us that in difficult moments we might not despair nor become despondent. Okay, becoming despondent is what I think our normal reaction is when things are just overwhelming and too difficult for us. We just, it's like for a couple months, I got up and taught my classes and I took care of my animals and then I went to bed. That's being despondent. And I was depressed. And I really had to call out to God in order to be able to get through that time and to come out on the other end, trusting in him. You know, God, one of the merciful things that God has done in me is that I have trusted him through this whole thing. There have been other times when I've gone through hard times when I didn't trust him through the whole thing. But this time, I think that's one of his greatest mercies, is that he's allowed me to keep trusting him. He's put that strength in me to be able to trust him. And he's given me that mercy so that I could trust him. So in difficult moments, we might not despair. In other words, to give up. And I've read some places where some people believe that despair is the unpardonable sin because it results in suicide. I'm not sure that that's right or not, but there's a point there. There's a point that when we allow despair to take over our lives, there's no hope. And hope results in wanting to die. It results in possibly even killing ourselves. And so we don't want that to happen. That's not God's will for us. It's not his perfect will for us. And when we don't have hope, and I've been there before, okay? I have been there, not after Bill died, but in other situations. There have been times when I've wanted to actively kill myself. And that is that despair. It's that there's no hope, and God, I don't even think that you can take care of this, and I need to get out of it. Whereas when he's put his mercy in us and we can trust in him, we have that hope. You know, it's like, do I want to live? Not really. I really want to go to heaven and be with my husband, but the cross that God's given me is to live each day, and not only to breathe and survive, but to thrive and to pour his mercy out to others through me. And so in that, it's kind of like, you know, when you know that God has a purpose for you, there's hope. You have hope, and there is a fulfillment, and there is a tender intimacy that you grow to have with God, because he's helping you to live out what he wants you to do and what he wants you to live for, even if you don't have the desire. And I believe that eventually he will help me to have that desire. But right now, this is an active trusting in him. It's a self-discipline to trust in him and to allow his mercy to work in my heart and then to work out into the world around me. And that does keep me from despairing and from being despondent. Okay, so it says, eternal God, in whom mercy is endless and the treasury of compassion inexhaustible, look kindly upon us and increase your mercy in us, that in difficult moments we might not despair nor become despondent. And then here is, I think, the most important part. But with great confidence, submit ourselves to your holy will, which is love and mercy itself. So let's break that down a little bit. With great confidence. Why do we have that confidence to submit ourselves to his will? Why do I have the confidence to continue to live, to take up my cross daily and not just stay in bed all day, but to allow God's mercy to pour through me? The reason I have that is because he has increased his mercy in me, because his treasury of compassion is inexhaustible, because his mercy is endless, and because he's drawn me closer and closer to him through that mercy and compassion. And so I'm able each day to say, okay, Lord, your will, not mine. Your will. You want me to live and not die? Okay, I trust in you. I trust in you. I trust in you. And so I'm able to continue on. And you can too, no matter what it is that you're going through, no matter what the difficulty, allow God, ask him. This is something that he wants to do so badly. He wants to pour out his mercy in you. He wants to show compassion to you and through you. And when he does that, it becomes easier and easier, and not just easier, but more joyful to submit to his will. And then the final thing, submit to your will, which is love and mercy itself. Okay, it didn't feel to me when Bill died like it was God's way of showing love that I was still alive. I wanted to be dead. I wanted to be with my husband. Sorry. But I trust that God's loving will for me is to go on and live. And sorry, I thought I could do this and show my face because I wouldn't cry. To trust that his loving will for me is to continue to live. And his loving will for Bill was to join him in heaven. His loving will was for our marriage to end. And that's really, really hard for me to understand. Sorry. but I believe it and I trust in him. And that's because of his mercy and his compassion that he's pouring into me constantly every single day. And it's because I'm consciously and intentionally asking him for that, and asking him to pour out his mercy and compassion on others. And because of that, I'm able to trust him. I'm able to see that his will is love and mercy itself, not just for me, but for others as well. People who might not even know that the mercy they're receiving has anything to do with me, but God is using me to pray for them, and to increase his mercy in them so that they wouldn't despair or become despondent, but would be able to submit themselves to God's holy will. I think that the thing that every Christian probably wants the most, but also has the most difficulty with, is submitting themselves to God's will, especially during really difficult times that we don't understand. And this prayer has gone a long way in helping me to be able to do that. And then at the very end, after we say the prayer, we say, Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. And you know, that means so many different things. I mean, in fact, I would love it if you would write in the comments below what Jesus, I trust in you means to you, because there are so many elements to that I would have to talk for another half hour or so to just talk about them. But let me just talk about some of the main things that means to me. It means, first of all, Jesus, I trust in you that you love me. I trust in you that everything that you're doing in my life is for a purpose and out of love, and that it's going to glorify you. And Jesus, I trust you to help me to want to do your will, not mine, because my will doesn't always, in fact, usually it doesn't line up with his will. I want to align myself with God's will. It also means, Lord, I trust you to take care of everything that needs to be taken care of so that I can do this. You know what? As a widow, you know, my income decreased by like half when Bill died, and I still have most of those same bills and everything, and yet God has provided for me every single month. He has provided for me. I have not gone hungry. My electricity hasn't been turned off. My pets have not gone hungry. You know, everything's been taken care of. And so I trust him. I trust him to take care of me. I trust him to provide for me. I trust him to keep me safe, which sometimes might mean that something happens. Like, you know, Bill was killed in that accident, but to me, that was the safest time that he ever existed, because God was with him and God's will was being done. I'm not saying that God killed him. I really don't think God killed him, but God allowed it to happen. He knew it was going to happen and he allowed it. And so I know that it was his will. And, you know, and so I'm able to trust him. Jesus, I trust you with my eternity. I trust you with the rest of my life. So what does that mean to you? Jesus, I trust you, because there are so many more aspects and elements of that. So let me just say this prayer one more time. And I would love it if you would just close your eyes and just turn your heart towards God and pray this along with me. Eternal God, in whom mercy is endless and the treasury of compassion inexhaustible, look kindly upon us and increase your mercy in us, that in difficult moments we might not despair nor become despondent, but with great confidence submit ourselves to your holy will, which is love and mercy itself. Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, I trust in you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I love all of you. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.